Alexander Hayes, or Alex as everyone called him, had spent decades as the Attorney General of Texas, battling corruption and upholding the law. Now retired, he and his wife Emily sought tranquility on a sprawling ranch they'd bought just outside the bustling suburbs. It wasn't part of any homeowners association or covenants, no rules binding them to nosy neighbors. They envisioned lazy sunsets, horseback rides, and a barn painted in rustic red that blended with the Texas hills. But peace proved elusive when the Willow Creek HOA, a self-important group from the adjacent development, set their sights on him. Led by the iron-fisted President Victoria Langford, the HOA began their harassment campaign almost immediately. Victoria, a former real estate mogul with a reputation for bulldozing opposition, claimed Alex's property visually impacted their pristine community. They bombarded him with letters citing bogus violations. The barn's color clashed with their aesthetic guidelines. His fencing was an eyesore, even though his land fell squarely outside their jurisdiction. Fines piled up in the mail, $500 here, $1,000 there, accompanied by veiled threats of liens and legal action. HOA members like Mark Reynolds and Lisa Harlan took turns surveilling his ranch, binoculars in hand from the property line, snapping photos and whispering about enforcement. Alex ignored it at first, chalking it up to overzealous busybodies, but the intrusions escalated, turning his dream retirement into a siege. One sweltering afternoon, the conflict exploded into outright farce and danger. A black SUV with flashing blue lights screeched up his driveway, disgorging three burly men in tactical vests, holsters bulging with guns, badges glinting under the sun. They barked that they were from the HOA Compliance Task Force and had a warrant for Alex's arrest on charges of repeated violations and contempt. Handcuffs dangled from one man's belt as they demanded he come quietly. Alex's heart raced, but years in the courtroom had honed his composure. He demanded to see their credentials up close, questioning their authority with a steely gaze. "You boys aren't real cops," he said, his voice steady. One of them hesitated, fumbling with a laminated badge that screamed counterfeit. Just then, a familiar sheriff's SUV roared in. Nathan Brooks, an old ally from Alex's prosecutorial days. Nathan leaped out, assessed the scene in seconds, and radioed for backup. "These clowns aren't law enforcement," he growled, yanking a fake badge off one imposter's chest. Turns out, the task force was a ragtag crew of hired thugs, paid from HOA dues. One was Victoria's own nephew, a shady ex-con with a grudge. As sirens wailed in the distance, Victoria herself watched from a distant hill through binoculars, her face paling before she sped away. The imposters were cuffed and hauled off, charged with impersonation and attempted false arrest. The revelation hit like a thunderclap, a community group weaponizing fake authority to bully a retiree. Whispers of HOA overreach spread, fueling debates about property rights versus collective tyranny. In the chaotic aftermath, Alex consulted Rachel Donovan, a sharp young attorney with a knack for dismantling corrupt entities. They plotted a counteroffensive, a restraining order against Victoria and the board, a cease and desist letter halting the harassment, and whispers of going public to expose the rot. The story broke on local news. Retired AG targeted in fake arrest by rogue HOA, igniting outrage. Residents petitioned to recall the board, demanding audits of funds siphoned for personal vendettas. But Victoria didn't back down. She doubled the stakes with defamation. Flyers appeared scattered across Alex's ranch overnight, photoshopped mugshots of him behind bars, labeled "Criminal Squatter Threatens Our Homes," emblazoned with the HOA logo. It was trespassing, slander, and a blatant attempt to ruin his reputation. Rachel dove deeper, uncovering embezzlement, HOA money funneled to private investigators, luxury trips disguised as board retreats, even bribes for access to police footage. The betrayal came from within. Mark Reynolds, the HOA vice president, resigned in disgust and turned whistleblower. He testified to Victoria's schemes, including hiring outsiders to intimidate dissenters. That's when Victor Slade entered the picture. A hardened criminal Alex had prosecuted years ago for fraud and extortion, freshly paroled and hungry for revenge. Victoria had enlisted him to dig up dirt, planting a tracker on Alex's truck, cutting fences to let cattle roam, and spray painting "Get Out or Else" on the barn. Threats escalated to a chilling video delivered anonymously, showing Alex's ranch from hidden angles, with a voiceover promising accidents. The peak of terror came with a package disguised as a delivery, left in the pasture. It detonated with a deafening boom, scorching the earth, but mercifully injuring no one, though it could have killed Emily or the horses. Federal agents swarmed in, labeling it attempted murder and tying it to interstate conspiracy. Victor, emboldened, drove up to the ranch one night for a chat, his eyes gleaming with malice. Alex, bluffing about hidden cameras and ironclad evidence, stared him down from the porch with a shotgun in view. "You've picked the wrong fight," Alex warned, his voice laced with the authority of a man who'd jailed worse. Victor sneered but peeled out, tires spitting gravel. The trial was a spectacle, Rachel's opening statement painting Victoria and Victor as architects of a criminal empire masquerading as neighborhood watch. Witnesses paraded, Mark spilling on embezzled funds, Sheriff Nathan on the fake arrest, experts on the bomb's sophistication. Alex took the stand last, his testimony a thunderous indictment of HOA abuse, how these mini-dictatorships stripped freedoms, extorted families, and now resorted to violence. The jury, riveted by tales of corruption that echoed national gripes about overreaching authorities, deliberated briefly. Guilty on all counts: fraud, conspiracy, attempted murder. Victoria got 15 years, her empire crumbling as the HOA dissolved amid scandals. Victor, with his priors, drew 25, snarling curses from the dock. Alex walked away with $1.2 million in damages, but the victory tasted bittersweet amid the controversy. Critics accused him of overkill, while supporters hailed him as a hero against bureaucratic bullies. Deeper probes by the FBI unearthed a broader web. A multi-state network of rogue HOAs linked to Victor's underworld ties, involving bribes to officials, militia-style enforcers, and illegal land grabs. Alex became a key federal witness, his depositions exposing systemic rot that sparked heated debates: were HOAs essential for community standards or breeding grounds for tyranny? Calls for reform echoed in Congress, pitting property owners against association defenders. In the end, normalcy crept back. The ranch was repaired, fences mended, barn repainted with a mural of Lady Justice trampling a serpent symbolizing triumph over deceit. Neighbors hosted a cookout, toasting Alex as a citizen advocate, his mailbox overflowing with letters from strangers pledging support. Yet, as the sun dipped low, Alex knew vigilance was eternal. Bullies in badges or boardrooms would always lurk, but fighting back, exposing fake authority, defending hard-won rights could turn the tide. In a world rife with division, his saga stood as a controversial reminder. Sometimes, the real criminals wear suits and smiles, not stripes.